Keith, do you have anything you would like to add?
Yeah, I'm encouraged to hear the new commitment from Governor Perry. That's good, and I think again those listening on this call have a great opportunity to get out and vote for caucus. And caucus, is so important, and this call is so important, but it doesn't mean much if we actually don't go out and vote. And so, I know the website Champion the Vote Iowa is a great place to find the local caucus, and if you're not registered to vote, to just show up and register to vote that night and cast your ballot for those who stand for your values.
Welcome to the Presidential Pro-Life Teletown Hall, presented by Personhood USA. And now your host, Steve Dace.
I want to welcome you back to a special edition here of the Steve Dace radio program. It is the Pro-Life Teletown Hall, presented by Personhood USA, and this is an organization, and it's really, as Keith Mason said in our previous segment from Personhood USA, it is a relatively young movement that is attempting to reinstitute the idea that life comes from God, our rights come from God, and unalienable rights means that those are God-given rights. And it is the role, perhaps even some would say the duty of governments to defend those unalienable right to life, that inalienable right to life. And of course, chief among them would be life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, as it says in our Declaration of Independence. And Keith Mason is with us from Personhood USA. We also want to give a shout-out to all of the listeners listening tonight on the Bot Radio Network, over 80 radio stations reaching the heart of America across the country. And Keith, for folks who are just tuning in as we get set here to talk to Michele Bachmann here in a moment, tell us about Personhood USA.
Well, Personhood USA is a young movement, but we're a movement that's focused on the fundamental goal of the pro-life movement, and that's to say that all humans are persons, and to protect them by love and by law. And so we're excited to do that and sort of raise the standard and say, being pro-life means that we fight and we work for the rights of all humans, and that the preborn child has rights like you or I.
And with that, we would like to welcome Minnesota Congresswoman Michele Bachmann onto the call. Michele, thank you for joining us this evening, and we know you're busy on the campaign trail. We appreciate it. Thank you. All right, Keith, it appears we are experiencing some technical difficulties. Let's talk a little bit here about why this issue is so important compared to some of the past efforts to defend the sanctity of life.
Well, I think that the fundamental shift is that we're not asking what we can get; we're saying what we want with this movement, and we're asking for it all. We're saying, all humans are created in the image of God, and therefore they're endowed by their Creator with rights, and so our laws must reflect those rights. And so I think that's the major shift in this movement, and what we're hoping to accomplish by changing the very culture that surrounds us.
Well, one of the things that I have said for years on the radio is that it's very difficult to win a moral argument if you surrender the premise of your argument from the outset. I mean, if you say, for example, that some lives are not worthy of the unalienable right to life, then it almost seems as if unintentionally you are actually arguing the pro-abortion, pro-choice position. You're arguing their premise. You're just obviously arguing for far less choices and far fewer abortions than they would prefer. But you're actually arguing, are you not, the premise of their argument, which I think has actually stymied a lot of pro-lifers over the years.
Yeah, that's right. It definitely turns into that, and that's why this pledge that's been put forth for the candidates, we're so grateful that the candidates that are joining us on this call have taken the step and made those commitments, not only to the folks there in Iowa who have such an important caucus coming up on the 3rd.
Is that Michele Bachmann? Is she now on the line?
Yep.
Okay. Michele, thank you for joining us tonight on the town hall. How are you?
Hey, I am doing great. I'm glad we were able to connect.
Thank you very much for joining us. If you would like to just take a minute or so and tell us a little bit about your overall pro-life moral conviction and what you would like our audience tonight to know about that.
Well, thanks so much for allowing me to be on the call. I want everyone to know that I recognize and respect the dignity of every human life from conception until natural death. This is not a check-the-box thing for me. This is the core of my conviction. This is what I would literally die for. As a 19-year-old, my husband and I first came to understand about the issue of life. We watched a movie by Francis Schaeffer. He said that life is the moral watershed issue of our time, and how we come down on the life issue will impact how we come out about other issues as well. This is a moral issue. We have a moral obligation to defend other people, and the reason for that is because each human being is made in the image and likeness of a holy God. My husband and I have been privileged to be parents to 5 biological children, but we believe that we need to just do more than talk the talk. We have to walk the walk. So we've had the honor of welcoming 23 foster children into our home. And while there have been challenging times, there's absolutely nothing that compares to the blessings that children bring to a family. Some of the most eloquent words ever written about life came to us from the Declaration of Independence. And it says that God has given us our rights to life. And we know that the President Obama has a war on the family. And just days after he took office, he advanced his cause by reversing Mexico City. Nothing has helped save more human life than the Hyde Amendment, but it doesn't go far enough. What we need to do to upend Roe versus Wade and end that horrible Holocaust in the United States of life is to pass the Personhood Amendment. I am the first person to sign the Personhood USA's pledge, and I'm proud to say that, to define life from the moment of conception. We don't have to wait just for the Supreme Court. We can be involved in this ourselves, and I am thrilled to have signed the Personhood Amendment. As President of the United States, I won't just talk this talk. I won't relegate pro-lifers to the corner and pat them on the head. I will actually do something about it, and I will veto any congressional attempt to provide federal funding of abortion. That's why I led 40,000 Americans to the United States Capitol to block Obamacare, because Obamacare, for the first time in the history of the country, funds taxpayer-funded abortion, and it causes all Americans to violate their moral conscience by supporting the Obamacare legislation, which now pays for abortion.
Michele Bachmann is here with us on the Pro-Life Teletown Hall presented by Personhood USA. If you would like to assist Personhood with this movement, visit their website, personhoodusa.com. Of course, you could support them both financially and with prayer. We're going to take a break here in a moment. If you are on the town hall, stay right there. You'll have more time with Michele Bachmann here during the commercial break. Your chance to ask her questions about how she plans, as President of the United States, to stand for the sanctity of life. Stay tuned. All right, Keith, would you like to ask Congresswoman Bachmann a question?
Sure, that'd be great. And Congresswoman, thanks so much for all your support and your kind words there, and we're so grateful for your signature on that pledge. And I do have a question here. The first question I have is from Lou Engle. He's the founder of The Call and The Call to Conscience. And his question is, President Obama recently decided to prohibit the morning after pill to be available over the counter. How would you seek to combat the growing practice of chemical abortions?
Well, the best way to do that is through the repeal of Obamacare. We know that Planned Parenthood now wants to move toward chemical abortions, and they want to call it preventative care. And they will do that through the Obamacare legislation. One thing everyone on this call needs to recognize is that for the first time in the history of our country, we do have taxpayer-funded abortion. Those of us who consider ourselves deeply pro-life have to recognize that we have lost every single issue that is sacred and important to us, because now the President of the United States has such a stunning level of power that he can literally, with just his own volition, unilaterally make a decision that the abortion pill will be offered, as he did on August 1st, or putting abortion pills for young minors, girls as young as 8 years of age or 11 years of age, on a bubblegum aisle. This is going to continue to go forward until we repeal Obamacare. Of all of the candidates in the race, I am the most committed to the repeal of Obamacare. It would be a grave mistake for our party to nominate a candidate that has been inconsistent on the life issue. And we have candidates in this race that have been, who don't understand that life begins at conception. And we have candidates who don't understand that, or who think it's okay to use an unborn human life for experimentation or research. That's why I'm 55. Since I've been 19, I have been very active in the pro-life movement. I get it. This isn't a check-the-box issue for me. This is life itself. The one thing we can't get wrong in this election is the life issue. Too many times we have been relegated to the corner. I will not, as president. I will actively pursue the personhood legislation, and in order to do that, we also have to repeal Obamacare. Of all of the candidates in the race, I am the only one that actually will repeal Obamacare.
Keith, do you have any other questions? We've got one more minute with Michele.
No, I just again, I appreciate your support, and Steve, I'd leave it to you.
Michele, this is a tough question to answer in 1 minute, but what happens if you attempt to enact legislation to defend personhood and the U.S. Supreme Court tries to strike it down and replace it with its own edict denying the inalienable right to life? What happens then if you're the President of the United States?
Well, we certainly don't give up there, because the Supreme Court doesn't make the law of the land. It's the Congress and the President of the United States who do. And so the Congress and the President need to retake back their power and their authority and just resubmit legislation and work it through. And that's what we have to do. The Supreme Court can't arbitrarily tell us what the law of the land is. The people would be denied representation if that was the case. The Congress and the President of the United States together have that authority to make law, and that's what they must do, reclaim that authority.
Michele, always good to talk to you. Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate it.
God bless you all. God bless the United States.
All right. Thank you, Michele.
Thank you.